I'm really excited because if you can change your relationship to how you view and experience study, it can change a large portion of your life. It is the most exciting thing that you look into. And let me tell you today, straight up, it is very much so possible to go from procrastination, hating study, avoiding it, and really not enjoying yourself to absolutely loving it, being on top of it, being proactive of it, and achieving great awards and achievements, and that motivation spilling into every other area of your life. And I've seen it happen for myself. And I used to deliver seminars all across Sydney. I used to drive across Sydney and deliver seminars to high school students on study skills and time management. And I saw the transformations happen right before my eyes. So I remember when I used to struggle with study, it was in high school. I would get home and I would be exhausted and I'd feel immense pressure around study. I absolutely hated it. I looked up these kind of silly little techniques like the Pomodoro technique and, schedule your time. And none of it really helped because I didn't really care for study. I didn't want to do it. You see, a lot of strategies about study and about, procrastination or productivity, they look at the surface level of what is going on and they try to fix the surface level. The problem with that is that the root of your issue actually lies below the surface level. There is a causation somewhere, and I'm going to give you spoilers, that's inside of you that is actually making your study habits and your study results dismal. There's something inside of you, inside of your mind, that is absolutely ruining your life when it comes to study. And so I remember the day it changed for me. I was just sitting there typing away at an essay with pure joy, pure freedom, no pressure, no stress. And I'd finished it a week or two beforehand, and I was absolutely loving and adoring study. And for me, that was absolutely shocking because I didn't see how that was possible. But looking back, it is totally possible. And so we're going to talk about a little bit of how that happens, how you can do that jump today. So first things first, let's just look at general principles of human behavior, right? To study, that is an action, right? So that's the action. Now, look, we know that if we study and put in the hours, we're going to get the result. That's clear and simple. If you've ever put in a lot of study and effort into something, generally effectively, and you put time into something, you're going to do better, right? But the question is, how does the action occur? Well, the action occurs if we want it or we choose it. So it's a decision. We make a decision. And how do we make our decisions? It's through our thinking. So for example, if I take the action to study, it's because I decided to study. I sat down, right? And the reason why I decided is because thinking led me to making a decision to study. So if you want the results that you're after and you want to be taking the right behaviors, you need to go back behind your decision and into your thinking. You need to understand how your thinking is going. And a lot of the time, we can make it really mathematical and really simple. It's so simple. Like, if your thinking creates a world or a perspective that study is bad, it is worthless, it is painful, it's going to make me lose time. Essentially, if we create all these negative beliefs and connotations and evaluations and judgments of study, we are going to be far less likely to take action. In fact, we're going to procrastinate because we're going to wait till the pain actually catches up with us and we have to complete a task, an assignment, and we just shut our minds off and attack and take action. And that's very exhausting. It's very painful. You might have experienced that, right? But the problem is, a lot of people just think that this is reality. This is how study goes. It just sucks. But I want you to think, if study sucks, why are there people who absolutely love it and enjoy it? And if there are people who absolutely love it and enjoy it and spend a good amount of time doing it and have balanced lives, then what is the difference between them and yourself? So there's no difference in study. Study is a neutral, general thing. But there is a difference between yourself and that other person who loves studying. And that difference is what's going on inside their head. It's what's going on inside their minds. So the thing is, we had beliefs about study, we had connotations and evaluations about study, and that determined our decisions, and that determined our actions and created our results. So now, what if you were to see study in a brand new way, from a brand new perspective? So what you do, and this is something that you can do, and we'll go through some examples together, is you look at every single objection to study inside of you, and you overcome it. I mean, like, it's simple as that. You overcome the objections, or you challenge the objections, or you take away the credence or the credibility. And essentially, as you weaken the things that make you hate or despise study, naturally you can start strengthening the beliefs and thoughts and patterns that make you love study. And you see, you never need to be afraid about loving something in life. If you love study and you really love study, it's going to spill over into your social life. It's going to spill over into your sport and everything you do. See, a lot of people think that if they love study, they're going to spend too much time studying, and then it'll be a horrible bore. Life will be boring. But it just doesn't logically make sense, because the more that you increase love in your life, the more love you will feel about life, the more you will feel appreciative about life. And if there's something in your life that you don't love, right? It could be study, it could be working out. Then you need to work on that and increase your capacity and ability to love. So example, we actually increase our love of study. We change our perspective, right? And we do it through various things. We look at everything, single thing inside of us that is stopping us from studying. And we change our perspective and we start seeing study in a new way. Then we can actually get addicted to the action of studying. We can start loving it. And because we love the thing that we find most challenging in life, and we embrace it and we fully throw ourselves into it, we start loving life, and then study isn't a stress anymore. You can take a stress and a challenge and something that you did not like before, and you can turn it into love. You can turn it into something that brings you a lot of joy. So let's get a little example out there. For me, the big thing for me was perfectionism, right? So I'll call it the big P. Right? And I think a lot of people struggle with it. And for me, I remember feeling so perfectionistic about my English work, especially in high school. And, all my assignments, everything had to be perfect, that I would just absolutely give up and give out. I would just say, no, you know what, I'm not going to study at all, because I want to decrease the pain within my mind and within my consciousness. And so when it came to perfectionism, I one day just realized, I had this kind of big realization that this wasn't actually helping me study. This insane standard actually made it really unrealistic and made study look really painful. So for me, the strategy in my mind was actually to do a really bad job, to do a horrible job, to a shonky and shocking job of my study. Like, what if my new standard was absolutely no standard, and that I could just sit there and do an absolute trash job of my study? Well, that took the pressure right off. And all of a sudden, I'm like, well, yeah, I can do a bad job. I can do a horrible job of my study. And if that's all I need to do, fantastic. So I dropped the standards. I dropped the standards by heaps. And, a lot of people question me on that when I tell them. But then the question is that what's going to actually get you to do the study? What's going to be the perspective that is going to be most effective? And so for me, it was doing a really crap job of my study. And once that pressure was off me, I felt free to study. I felt really free. I'm like, you know what? Because I don't need to do an amazing job at it, I'm just going to study. I'm going to spend time with it. And as you spend time with something, your love for it increases. And as your love for it increases, so will your quality for it. So that's the real secret there. That if you increase your love and you decrease anything that's holding you back from loving it and being with it and being even bad with it, then you're going to experience high quality over time. But you see, this is a slow burn. This is a long sustaining fuel. This isn't some pressureful thing that's going to get you going in the short term, but leave you high and dry, 2 days later, a day later. This here is supposed to be an existential fix. Even if you sacrificed a couple of weeks of motivation, or a whole semester or a session, or heck, even a year of it, to learn how to love it, to fall in love with study and fall in love with these difficult things, then you would be put up in a really, really good position. Because the only feasible way is to love it, is to really find a way to love it. So another perspective people take is that you just turn your mind off and you do it. If you turn your mind off, naturally, without all your judgments, we love life. We enjoy things. Like if we're enjoying things, it's fantastic. We don't need to worry about, reasons and stuff. You just apply yourself and you turn off your mind. So that's a little cheat code, a little hack that you can get straight to it. And then you start realizing, hey, hold on a second. Do I ever need to be thinking or overthinking? Story for another day. Now, the other thing is that you have to find a way. It is your responsibility to create, that is, to create the value of studying. You need to find what you find valuable within yourself, and you need to link those values to your study, right? Because a lot of the time we won't take action on something unless we find it valuable. And so, for me, because in high school I had this negative attitude towards study, I used to think that it was invaluable, it was dumb, and that I'd learn more in the real world, so-called. But, if I was to go back in time, I would change it that study is something that brings me discipline. It brings me joy. It actually increases my work ethic. The things that I learn actually broaden my mind, and it's actually a really powerful self-discipline and willpower process, and that I actually enjoy life and get more motivation. You see, you've got to sweeten up the deal for study. It's all sales, it's all influence. It's about sweetening up the deal, reframing what was once there, and challenging the reality, or what you think of the reality is of your study. And it can change, but you've got to keep at it. You got to keep at it over time and change your being and be consistent. There's so much more I can say about this, but I'll cut it off for today, and thank you.